Somewhere right now, a worn $1 bill is being shredded at a Federal Reserve Center, and within 48 hours, part of it will be packed inside the walls of a house. The bill is statistically 6.6 years old. Its replacement is on a truck out of Washington. And the strange part is what happens next. Because about 90% of every retired American banknote comes back, in some form, as a physical object you could touch. This is a story about how the United States kills its currency. It is also a story about cellulose insulation, garden compost, roofing pulp, and a souvenir cube you can buy at a gift shop. The bill that paid for the house may eventually be inside it. Start with the lifespan gap. The Federal Reserve estimates that a $1 bill survives in circulation for 6.6 years. A $100 bill lasts 22.9. The difference is not paper quality, and the notes are printed on the same cotton linen blend. The difference is use. Small bills churn through registers, vending machines, and tip jars. Large bills sit in safes. The harder a bill works, the faster it dies. When a bill finally fails, a torn corner, inkware past a threshold, a tape repair the sensor doesn't like, a commercial bank ships it back to one of 12 Federal Reserve regional banks. There is no single grand destruction facility. There are 12. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Richmond, Atlanta, Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Kansas City, Dallas, San Francisco. Each runs its own currency processing operation, and each shreds every weekday, which raises the obvious question of how much paper money is actually being fed into those machines. The New York Fed alone destroys about 5 million notes a day. Chicago and its Detroit branch combine roughly 26 million. Across the system, the reserve banks shred about 7,000 tons of currency a year, which is, in fairness, more than zero. The mechanism is mostly machine. Inside a reserve bank cash processing room, a high-speed sorter audits every note, weighs the bag, flags the unfit ones, and routes them straight into industrial shredders that turn the paper money into confetti the size of breakfast cereal. The pulp gets bricked, baled, and shipped. Then it leaves. About 90% of the shreds get recycled rather than landfilled. The largest single buyer category is cellulose insulation manufacturers, who blend currency pulp into the loose fluff that ends up blown into attics. Roofing pulp plants take another cut. Municipal compost programs take a smaller one, and the leftover slivers go to the Federal Reserve's own visitor centers, where they get pressed into clear plastic cubes and sold as a souvenir labeled with a 5-figure cash value you cannot spend. Before the reserve banks took over, the Treasury used to boil worn bills in water tanks, a process called maceration, until they dissolved into mush. The water tank era ended once the Fed centralized destruction at the 12 banks, and the large denomination notes that funded private maceration loads stopped being issued in July of 1969. Which loops back to the wall. The bill that paid for the house may now be inside it. Not as money, but as the paper fluff that keeps the roof from leaking heat. The Fed didn't plan that. It just turns out to be cheaper than throwing it away.